All right, welcome. If you've got a Kurdish grammar exam coming up, you are in the right place. We are going to fly through the absolute essentials to make sure you can walk into that test feeling ready and confident. Okay, let's just dive right in. We are hitting 6 key topics that you are definitely going to see on your exam. We're talking everything from noun gender to adjectives and attached pronouns. We're just going to cover the core ideas you absolutely have to know. So, let's get started. First up, noun gender. Now, in Kurdish, it's pretty simple on the surface. Every single noun is either masculine, which is ner, or it's feminine, me. And trust me, understanding this is the foundation for almost everything else in the grammar.
So why does this even matter? Well, the crucial thing to get is that this isn't just some random label. A noun's gender literally changes the other words around it, especially adjectives. If you can get this part right, a whole bunch of other grammar rules are suddenly going to click into place.
So let's look at some classic examples. On the left, you've got your masculine nouns like pial for man and kur for boy. And on the right, feminine nouns like kuch for girl. Now, some of these are obvious, right? But for a lot of words, you can't just guess, which is why learning to spot the grammatical signs is so important. So how do you tell them apart, especially for words that aren't as obvious as boy or girl? Well, let's get into the specific signs, because there are actually clues hidden right inside the words themselves. This table right here, this is your exam cheat sheet. The key is in the endings. Don't feel like you have to memorize every single word. Just start recognizing the patterns. You'll notice certain endings pop up again and again for masculine nouns, while a vowel sound at the end often means it's feminine. Okay, now that we have a handle on gender, let's tackle the next big question. How do you talk about a book versus the book? You know, a student in general versus the student you're talking about right now. And that brings us to definite and indefinite nouns, or nasrau and nanesrau. This is a huge concept for your exam because it's all about how specific you're being.
And you know what? The difference is actually really simple. Just look at this. On the left, gutabiek is a student. On the right, you just add a little suffix and it becomes gutabieka, the student. It's that tiny change at the end that does all the work.
So to make a noun indefinite, to say a something, it really just comes down to adding a suffix. The main one you're going to see for singular nouns is ek. If you can spot that on your exam, that's an easy point right there.
And on the flip side, to make a noun definite, to say the something, you use a different ending. The one you need to remember is aka. So let's make it super simple. Ek means aka means the. That is a major takeaway.
All right, let's move on to something a little more fun. Diminutive nouns. This is how the language gets really expressive, adding a feeling of smallness or cuteness or just a bit of affection to a regular word.
And here it is in action. The word kur means boy, but adding a suffix and you get kurik, which is more like little boy. Same with koch, a girl, which can become kochula, or little girl. That suffix completely changes the feel of the word.
So really, a diminutive isn't a totally new word. It's just a special version of a noun that lets you pack in extra meaning. It's a way to show emotion or scale without having to add a bunch of extra words.
Now for your test, don't panic and try to memorize every single combination. Your job is just to get good at spotting these suffixes. If you see an ending like ola, ka, or ila tacked onto a noun, your brain should immediately go, aha, that's a diminutive noun. Okay, next up is a massive topic, and it's a real game changer for speaking Kurdish efficiently. We're talking about attached pronouns, or genui lika. These are tiny little suffixes that stick to words to show who owns something, like my, your, or her, and they are used constantly.
This table right here, this is everything. This is your absolute cheat sheet for attached pronouns. It lays it all out for you. First, second, and third person, singular and plural. I'm serious, screenshot this, memorize it. It is that important for your exam. And here's how it works in real life. Instead of saying a longer phrase like mali min for the house of me, you just say malim, my house. That tiny little m at the end does all the heavy lifting. It's so much more elegant and efficient, right?
All right, last but not least, let's quickly talk about adjectives, or hualana. These are the words that add all the color and detail to your sentences, and they follow a couple of key rules you'll need to know.
So, what's an adjective's job? It's simple. It describes a noun. It answers questions like what kind or which one. We're talking about words like red, fast, happy, tall. They're the words that give us more information about a thing.
Here's a perfect example from the text. The sentence is about a white pigeon being a sign of peace. So pigeon is our noun. The word that tells us more about the pigeon is spi, which means white. That's our adjective. Simple as that.
Okay, deep breath. Let's do a lightning round recap. 1. Nouns have gender. 2. Suffixes are your best friends. They tell you the gender and if something is definite. 3. Remember, ek is a, aka is the. 4. Diminutives like ola add feeling. 5. Attached pronouns like m show possession. And 6. Adjectives describe nouns. That's the core of it.
So take a second. Which of those topics feels the clearest to you now? You have just reviewed the absolute essentials of Kurdish grammar. You've got this. Take a deep breath, walk into that exam with confidence, and just show them what you know. Good luck.